we can't advise anybody on how to vote. But I suggest in general, you know, for me, this is a top priority. So I'm going to see where people stand on this issue. And I'm going to ask, hey, you want my vote? Where do you stand on this issue? And if you're, you know, in favor of it, then I'm going to say, well, you're just not going to vote. So that's one way. Another way is time is money. And we found out that these companies, it costs them a lot of money if it's delayed. So we have had success. This one company we're talking about, Ecuador, they tried to kind of sneak in and just get an administrative permit for something which you and I call coastal development permit. And anybody's tried to do any work on their home or business in a coastal zone, we know how hard it is. They were just going to get a little pass with the executive director signing off on it. We killed that because they got about 100 letters from people saying no way.
Within 1 week.
Yeah. So if you sign up either back there or go to our website, www.reactalliance.org, or get on our mailing list, and we'll give you like, hey, write to this person, send it over here, call this person.
The big thing coming up is the Coastal Commission is going to be in Morro Bay June 12th, 13th, and 14th. But the June 12th one is going to be the day we're going to try to all get together and be an army of people in public comment saying, our feelings about offshore wind. Of course, it's not on the agenda. They'll probably put offshore wind on the agenda when they go to Eureka or somewhere. They don't want to do it anywhere local. And that's another thing to say to them. Hey, why isn't offshore wind on your agenda when you're in Morro Bay? That's one of our top problems right now. So, June 12th. And it's going to be at the Inn of Morro Bay at 9 o'clock.
And if you get on our mailing list, we'll just get up, just get an email. We'll probably get more than one.
And I would like to point out something. This is the very beginning of the process. They have well over 25 more permits to get, and some of them have to do with nearshore, some of them have to do with onshore. This is going to be a process. The more that we throw monkey wrenches in the works throughout the entire process, we're going to show for every single one of those permits. We are going to make sure we have done our research. We want people like you to come to help us, because one of the things these guys don't like is public opposition. It is one of the things that they're going to shy away from the most. So we have way more power than we think we have.
Yeah, they've been in federal waters so far. Everything outside 3 miles is federal. So we haven't had as much control. So once they go for this coastal development permit, they'll be within 3 miles. And that's when all the California rules we've been dealing with over and put in and made over the several years, it's tortured the commercial fishermen. They finally need to come to roost. We need to hold them accountable. Right, yeah. So I think we can stop them from coming into the nearshore, which is what they need to connect to the grid. So that's where you guys can really speak on.
Are there any politicians on board with this cause? Any local politicians? No?
In the Morro Bay City Council, we do have people who are supporting us.
Okay.
I know there is somebody running for state for representative in this race who is absolutely with us. Her name is Avila. I suggest you research her and see who her opponent is. And
She's running for assembly?
For assembly. But talk to your local council people and see how they do.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here that the seismic mapping that they did about 10 years ago. I see a lot of faces of people that were involved in that. What was the decibel level that separated the high from the low power testing?
That was, I can answer that. I can answer that because I was part of that process and we shut it down. What they were utilizing was there's a little bit of a difference between HRG, which is high resolution geographical survey, and what they were using, which was called HESS, which was high energy seismic surveying. Those were air guns, and they were operated, they drove them behind, they were operated at extremely high levels, above 250 decibels. The thing is what our agencies have done is they played kind of an interesting little semantic trick turbines. They have taken these current technologies that are still running at dangerously high decibel levels, 228, and they have redesignated them as low energy, even though they are running at high decibels. So that's one of the reasons, that's one of the ways they're getting around the law. So that was a different technology meant to penetrate the ocean floor at a very deep level for oil exploration, is basically what it boils down to.
So what they're doing now is not the same as that.
It's not exactly the same, but there are several other technologies that are similar to bubblers. It's an array, and that is actually an air gun type technology, but they have termed it to be low energy HRG.
Because right here in Avila, one day I went swimming, and suddenly the visibility was the best I've ever seen it. You could see the bottom at 50 feet. You never can see that here. Why not? Because of all the plankton. Okay, so I went, what's happening? So I went out to this rock there and dove, and it was just, I've never seen such good visibility. Then a commercial fisherman friend said to me, you see that boat that's been sitting out there? Yeah. Well, before it left, it decided for some reason to do a really powerful boom air blast. That killed all the plankton. I couldn't believe it, but I saw it with my own eyes. And without the plankton, just like you were explaining, it doesn't.
Well, that's why we're really pushing for them to have some kind of independent monitoring. There was a guy, his name's Robert Brand, and he studies whale sounds. So he has all the equipment to put, to listen to sound underwater, hydrophones and stuff. And so when he heard about the offshore wind surveys on the East Coast, he lives on the East Coast, he thought he would go out there and put his equipment and see actually how loud it is. And he found that they were way over the permitted decibels. And that they weren't calculating in the sound of the positioning systems on those huge ships. Because their thrusters run at like 126 decibels at a very low frequency. Those boom, boom. Because they have to go perfectly straight lines and really tight circles. So that thing's going all the time. And that wasn't calculated in to their safety zone, where they're supposed to be a certain distance from endangered species and whales and stuff. And it should have been something like 3 miles instead of 500 feet or whatever they had.
That reminds me.
So we're trying to get them to do that here. So we're going to independent monitor. They did.
I've never mentioned to you guys too, on the impact cards, there's some documentaries at the bottom that we would really recommend watching. One of them is Through the Wind. That one's particularly about what's happening on the East Coast, and it goes into a little bit of the decibel levels, causation versus correlation, basically proves that they're killing whales. Blown Away is also really good. That is essentially about how the wind energy companies are affecting communities. And the other one is Big Wind and the Incidental Take, which is sort of about the corruption basically on the lies and things like that. So another way that you can help too is honestly passing these out and telling friends and family this is happening is a great start, right? Whether they dive into it or not, I don't think it's been so hush hush, right? As Sherry said, she's been psychiatrist since 2015. So if we can say and let our neighbors and our friends and our family know, hello, this is super scary, right? I think we can raise our voices. But educate yourself, which is a great way to do it.
I keep them in my purse and I drop them and put it
We
back.
will also be adding our
Let's-
presentation. Just so you know, too, we're going to be adding our presentation to our website.
We have a couple more questions here.
Go ahead.
I have a question, so you can take other questions.
Oh, okay.
More statement about like the renewability of wind turbines or service and
Go ahead, you've already got the stage.
Okay, so I've done some research on the actual blades themselves. They're made of materials that aren't necessarily recyclable, and we haven't found any use for the waste products that are provided. They also tend to explode, and as you've ever seen the videos of wind turbines exploding, especially when maintenance crews are on top of them, usually they actually commit suicide just to decide to jump off because that's better than burning.
Terrible,
that.
yeah.
Also, not only that, the blades, there are videos of vultures, hawks, in not even offshore ones, but on the inshore ones over by, where is it?
Palm Springs?
Yeah.
Oh, the ones over by Palm Springs where this guy's just filming a bird flying into it and it disintegrates. It doesn't even have a chance to like make it through or anything, it just disintegrates on impact.
They don't expect to get hit from above.
Yeah, and so they just keep flying and it'll tear up entire like bird ecosystems.
Going back to them explaining, they get hit by lightning a lot, and they catch on fire. The bearings get bad, they have to change, some of the maintenance thing, have to change the bearings out frequently, or they catch on fire.
Thank you for that.
We have a few more questions.
Okay, so I have